Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Games Industry Executive Summary. This is Casey. And, of course, we have the Dashing Dave here.
Word.
How are you, Dave?
I'm good. I forgot to eat dinner last night, so I'm a little tired.
Okay.
I just ate some salmon, and I'm hoping that's going to address the issue.
You have a coffee in your hand, I heard.
I do. It wasn't in my hand, but it is now.
And that's a nice blazer you have on as well.
Thank you. This is just my jacket because I came in from the outside.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Coffee, and I sent down.
Business Dave.
That's me.
Welcome. And then back on the show, once again, the Terminator, Andre Parson.
How are you?
Hello, Andre.
Terminator.
Welcome back, my friend.
We're being
You're filling in for Manu, who's a bit sick today.
Nice to see you again.
No, he's not. So Casey, I saw in the text. I think you were confused by the idiom. He said he was underwater, not under the weather. Under the weather would mean he's sick. Underwater means he's busy.
Oh, I see. You could potentially be both underwater and under the weather.
But underwater is what he specified. Because you seemed like very conciliatory to him, just saying like I have a lot of work, which is this is I take it on myself to really educate my non-native English speaking friends about all the wide world of idiom. So there we go. Maybe
too much work is a sickness.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a different.
If you're new here, please do like, subscribe, hit bells, whistles. Go to guysweekly.substack.com to stay up to date. Join over 2,000 industry professionals, like-minded people like us and you, who might find a lot of value in reading the newsletter in under a minute every Friday, 9 a.m., wherever you are in the world. That is our message. Gentlemen, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Sure.
It's time to guess the game.
Oh, right. Yeah. Let's go.
Okay. We have a theme going on today. We'll see if you guys can crack this. We're still in the 90s because we're still reliving my childhood.
I do so much better with the new millennium.
Okay. Then let's start. Of course, you will wait until I finish before you throw out your guesses. You'll both have equal chance to guess the game. We've changed it up, Andre, so it's not the first. It's more like, you both will have the chance to guess. Okay. Are you guys ready?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, sir.
Let's do it. Shredder's got some time to kill. 3 billion years of high-tech turtle terror. Sunday evening, you're sitting around the sewer, watching your main reporter, April O'Neil, do a live remote from the Statue of Liberty. Then it happens. A humongoso flying android screams out of the sky and rips Lady Liberty from her foundation. Journey through 10 levels of enormous arcade graphics, the largest and craziest talking turtles ever, with eons of bodacious battlegrounds from prehistoric to futuristic galaxies. To prepare for the toughest shredheads you've ever seen, try the Versus mode, a turtle-on-turtle combat arena that finally proves who's the mightiest mutant of all.
So we have turtles. We've established that they're mutants. I don't know how old they are, though.
I mean, the 3 billion years of high-tech turtle terror is involved.
Yeah, they're geriatric mutant ninja turtles.
Is there
my
more?
turn now? Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time, baby.
Turtles in Time.
That is correct.
That's one of my favorite games of all time, actually. I played it through the collection recently, the arcade version, which is very different from the Super Nintendo. Well, there are differences from the Super Nintendo version.
I've never
Both
played
have
the
strings.
arcade one.
Mhm.
What's the main difference? Is it like
The arcade one, you can play 4 people, and it is way faster. More animations and stuff.
You could play 4 on NES.
No, you could play only 2.
Okay. But you could, if you died, you could swap and choose.
No, is this SNES or NES? Which I can't remember.
SNES.
SNES, okay, because that did have 4 slots, right?
No, it did not have 4 slots.
It had 4 slots. Oh, okay.
But I think you could buy I'm not sure for the PlayStation. You could at the time. I'm not sure if you could buy like one of those, where you could attachments where you could put like in more slots.
And there's actually
up to 5.
there is a Genesis / Mega Drive version of this as well, but it's not called Turtles in Time. It's called the Hyper Heist or something like that.
Okay.
It kind of rebuilds the game, but it's still kind of the same game. I don't know why they couldn't do exactly the same. Maybe there was code limitations or something, but it's still awesome. If people want to try it, they absolutely should.
Okay. And then the second one, they released another one, right? Like a sequel recently.
That one I just played
ago?
as well.
Yeah,
Shredder's
really
Revenge.
Yeah.
And that one you can play 4 players on console.
They got pretty loose with the IP for a second as well. They made an isometric as well, I believe.
Yeah. Yeah, that might be right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Highly recommended.
Yeah.
One of the best games ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys ready for the next one? Here we go. It's World Payback time, and the infamous Red Falcon is here to collect. Welcome to 2636. That's not far off. That's very close. The year the Notorious One gets even with an unprecedented alien onslaught orchestrated to push 16-bit technology and its commandos to their ultimate reaches. Plunge through a molten hot massacre on a high-speed voyage to guts of the arch-enemy alien. Scope out the side and top perspective and backgrounds that do a 360 to engulf you in 3D sensation. Pick off solar... I don't know why they wrote this way, but it's interesting. This is very marketing, like tech heavy, not gameplay heavy. But anyways,
well, that was the time. People are very much more interested in game and graphics technology than they were. They are.
Then we'll get to the end, and I'll explain some more.
Yeah.
But anyways, pick off solar slime dogs like the mutant Mega Squeedos and the Psycho Cyclers, while you scale over walls, swing from gardens and ropes. Hitch rides on a missile, whatever it takes. Sweat through 6 gut-splitting stages, including the Battle of the Blazing Sky and the Macho Grando Badlands.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's Contra: the one on SNES.
How about you, Andre?
Yeah, I was thinking about another game at first, but I can't position it, even though I love these types of games, because it is probably a vertical scroller. You could be right, Dave. But I'm also thinking there was some kind of high-tech something going on, maybe 3D FX or something. Maybe this is also one of those. I don't know. I won't be able to guess it.
So this game's origins has is side-scrolling.
Mm-hmm.
But this specific game took it to another level where there were top-down elements. There were some really freaky 3D things that would happen. So they did push the limits of and expectations of this type of game. So I'll say, Dave, you're correct, but which one exactly?
The one on SNES. That's what I got. That's all I got for it.
Okay, so the game is Contra 3, The Alien Wars.
Okay.
Of course.
So this one, I don't know why they were so focused on talking about the visual fidelity of the game.
As you were saying, clearly this was a big part of this game was pushing the limits of technology. So, and again, that was a marketing beat back then.
Yep.
You could really do that.
Yep.
Yeah.
And this
the whole term 3D was something to and the Super FX this, and even VR stuff started showing up within those years. So people were really getting into tech in the games.
Yes. Also one of the best games ever made, by the way. Super hard at the time, at least, and if you beat it, it was a feat.
I doubt it got any easier.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah, that SNES Classic thing that came out. You really forget that the limited frame rates make it so much harder.
Yeah,
that is the biggest difference from those old games to now, definitely.
And that's why it gets interesting with arcade games when you're able to play them, especially if you can play the arcade game and then the home game, and the frame rates are doubled or tripled sometimes. But also the arcade games are really designed to put in more quarters. So,
of course.
Yeah, exactly. So they're hard.
Okay, gentlemen, we have one last game here.
One last game.
Stop the animal control problem in Gotham City before it gets too wild. One oversized bird and one slinky cat are out to take control of this urban jungle. Only you possess the power to stop the sinister plots of the Penguin and Catwoman. Become the Dark Knight as you live out the silver screen adventure in 7 terminally captivating stages. 5 levels of difficulty include the Maniac mode. Interesting. For the most brutal challenge. With a haunting CD quality music track and incredible 3D simulation, you will feel the wrath of the Red Triangle Circus Gang and a slew of demented enemies, including the tattooed strongman, roller clown, and organ grinder. Luckily, you've never been more huge and powerful, encased in amazing animation and armed with relentless attack moves. Hear the bone-crushing sound effects with every blow. Psych out the psychos with your trusty batarang and an intricate assortment of kicks, punches, body slams, and skull crackers before they terrorize a holiday street festival.
Batman Returns.
Yeah, I agree.
It is Batman Returns. That one was super easy, I feel like, for you guys.
Well, yeah, you described the plot of the movie in pretty specific detail.
Yeah.
This is one of the exceptions of a movie to game adaptation that the game was really, really, really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that.
So here's what's interesting about all 3 games that I just showed you and talked about. They're all Konami games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good.
Which is crazy. Well, thank you, gentlemen. You did well today. How about we move over?
Let's do it.
And check out SteamDB. The top 10. It's crazy to see that Slay the Spire is still up there.
Picking up there. 166.
The game that stood out to me today still was Limbus Company. And I feel it's one of those, just like what we did with...
it's doing well.
Yeah, and there's a spike here, like I think a week ago or so. But I feel like this game deserves us, just like we did with Bongo Cat. We need to play this game to figure out what is it that is making this game stay so high up. And it's a single player game. It's not a multiplayer game. That's what's interesting here.
I mean, I think Bongo Cat's slightly easier to test, right? You download Bongo Cat, and within 5 minutes, you got a pretty good idea of what Bongo Cat is. But I mean, my impression is it's just a good gacha game. Just a nice, well-made descendant of Genshin.
Andre, have you checked out Limbus Company? Are you aware of it?
I haven't checked it out yet. I'm aware of it. I've been busy with some other titles, both revisiting, but also checking out Crimson Desert and stuff like that. So,
how's that?
Are you playing Crimson Desert actively, or
not yet? I'm getting into it because I was thinking that it won't hold up to the hype, but I've gotten more excited. I think this was kind of like an Arc Raiders thing again, where the social media is getting me more excited about the title, and because it seems that people are having so much fun exploring it and doing fun stuff rather than following the story.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of how I played Skyrim when it was launched as well. I did the story last. But yeah, it's interesting to follow that title and see how people are exploring it. But yeah, otherwise it's back to Arc Raiders because they released new updates, new content and stuff now. So
go to the chart. How's Arc Raiders done with that?
Sorry, you want to see Arc Raiders?
Yeah.
Arc Raiders is, I would say, I'll share my screen, of course. It feels like it's down to a more sustainable number, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, roughly at 50,000 active users playing.
Mm-hmm.
Daily, we're looking at 150 almost. So it is.
There's that new content you can see at the end there. It has a very clear trend and then it stabilizes.
When was that released? Recently, right?
Yeah, yesterday was they had split up the release, and yesterday was part 2. And then also Battlefield have released new content and whatnot. But otherwise, I've been going back to older titles, Kingdom Come, and a couple of others.
Kingdom Come 1 or 2?
Yeah, well, two.
So my issue with that game was I was playing on mouse and keyboard,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get captured at one point. Spoilers, I guess, and they force you to make horseshoes, and the horseshoes are just a real pain in the ass to make with a mouse and keyboard.
Mm-hmm.
So I stopped playing.
Mm-hmm.
I could have plugged in a controller, but I was just like so annoyed that I just couldn't do anything. I really liked what I played, but I just felt like at that point I couldn't generate the excitement again.
Yeah, that's interesting. I've even seen the typical influencers who play PC games. Crimson Desert is also being played with controller quite a lot, because I guess the scheme is easier that way. For Kingdom Come, even I'm also considering playing more with controller as well. I don't know if that has started to become more of a norm now, or if it's just that people need to design for these platforms, design better for these types of.
I think it's just everything's getting fuzzy, right, between PC and console, and this is clearly part of it. I was a console player most of my life, but professionally, I'm a PC player, and so I just transitioned over to doing everything on PC, and so I play a bunch of it on. Like if I play a Souls-like, I'm going to play that on controller.
Gentlemen, I did buy a Steam Deck
Congratulations.
so long ago. Thank you. And the first game that I actually wanted to play, just because consoles didn't have access to it, was Slay the Spire 2.
Yep.
And that became, to Andre's point, what I want to say is, to go back to Crimson Desert and controller support and all that stuff. Like I am playing on controller on a Steam Deck connected to the TV. That's how we're playing. And the reason we're using the Steam Deck is because I don't want to have a bulky, big box close to the TV. We already have the consoles there, right? And just the Steam Deck just solves everything natively in terms of the OS and having access to your games. You just log in like a normal console and it solves everything. And this is where I would love to transition to one of the topics that I want to talk about today, because it's like to what Dave was saying, the lines are being blurred between PC and console, and I feel like one of these things is not helping, which is one of the top news stories this week. And crazy enough, but I'll tell you what happened as well. I was looking at one of our local retail stores, but the top news story is PS5 gets $100 price increase. Pro buyers pay even more. So Sony has increased prices. Yet again, this is the second or the third.
$900 for a Pro, man. I mean, you are definitely in PC territory at that point. Not like high end.
And the Pro doesn't even have the things that really make it Pro. At least in the last generation, the Pro, like the PS4 Pro, was significantly.
Yeah, well, last generation they had 4K and HDR to talk about with their mid-generation updates, and we don't really have that to talk about this time. We talk about 8K, but no one wants to listen.
No, I think it's more of if the devs are good when it comes to and have time to optimize for PS5, so that when you play performance on previous generation, you can play quality and still get the performance on a PS5. And those are correct for example, Final Fantasy here. You see that difference. There are some other games I've played that has that difference, but they are all very heavily supported by PlayStation themselves.
Yeah.
For everyone else, it's really a hit or miss. Sometimes there is no difference at all, and it always comes down to what the devs have time to do. And unfortunately, it's not always great. Since PS5 Pro was released, they have also improved the scaling system. I forgot the short abbreviation for it, but it's like a PSSR or something like that. So they are, Sony and PlayStation are continuously improving the PS5 Pro. But I'm not sure the devs are doing as much work on their side. And of course, with this price increase, it will be harder to see more units sold.
Sorry, I just found this trailer on the.
This is the Karen game.
It's called Karen. This is so fun.
It looks so much like.
Sorry, Andre.
This looks like an AI thing. It doesn't look like a game.
This is so awesome.
Were those that old Rampage game, Postal? Is that what it was?
Postal, yeah, I remember Postal.
Yeah, it's kind of like that, but you're this.
But this is like just pure mayhem. This is awesome. But let's just go back to talking about the hardware again. So, is this supporting my thesis that I feel like it's like, how because historically speaking, and there was this thread on I'll try and find it for you on Reddit. Historically speaking, consoles go down in time. Go down in price over time. Can one of you please explain why that was back in the day?
Because people got, the process of like making computing power was continuously improving, as well as the process of manufacturing a specific console. So it just got cheaper to make over time.
Yeah, and that was usually factored in as well. I mean, especially PlayStation would lose on selling machines in the beginning, but they would make sure through their calculations that they would get to a point where they could decrease the price and still make a good profit on old hardware.
Yeah, the software would be the upside for them making money long term on the hardware.
Yeah, for example, I mean there would be a lot of ways for them to be able to recoup that.
Yeah.
But it wasn't uncommon at all that the manufacturers would lose on selling each hardware at the time because the competition was so fierce. So these days it's different, and obviously RAM is and some other components are the main issue here since introduction of AI, and this is what we're also seeing now.
Goddamn AI, man. So for those who are just listening in, I'm sharing this picture taken from Reddit, where the person has like broken down the PlayStation console prices over time from launch and then 6 years later, and we can clearly see the original PlayStation, launched at $299. 6 years later, it was $99 only. That's a change of minus 66%. While moving forward to where we are today, a PS5, the starting price was $499, and now I think it's more than $649. Wasn't that the case? It's more than $649, or did I?
I just don't get it. People are still like throwing the concept of a PS6 around.
Yep.
I don't understand how you could possibly go about selling or marketing a PS6 in any climate that remotely resembles this.
Do we even need a PS6?
I mean, no, but they're making it.
Well, I mean, one thing I miss a bit is where the devs were able to develop specifically for that hardware and optimize specifically for that hardware. And I still see some opportunities where that makes total sense. But these days, since the engines and hardware are so similar, yes, it's easier to develop for consoles and PC at the same time than it has ever been. But I also miss when you could make incredible games on hardware that shouldn't be able to be that good or that beautiful or that,
like our Contra 3 there, a great example. To go back in time and talk about that kind of thing, like that is when you could really sell stuff based on increased power, and when people were just like really interested in pulling it apart and doing the weirdest stuff you can.
Mm-hmm.
We also have Nintendo, of course, who was doing their own thing. They don't care about power.
Still doing Pokopia. Pokopia is cool, man. It's just getting cooler.
Okay. Seems like you're spending more time in that world.
Yeah, exactly. And I also just saw the Mario movie last night.
Oh, wow. Okay. Was that good?
It was fine. The last one was better. They were both reviewed pretty badly overall, but the last one was better. My kids seem to like it, but I doubt it will have the same staying power for them that the old one did.
Fair enough. Andre, do you have a Switch too?
I do soon. I've actually decided to buy one.
Really?
So what pushed you over the edge?
I think one of the main reasons was that I had the opportunity to because I had a lot of bonus points expiring from flying left and right back in the day. And I was thinking that, you know, what would be great to do now that I'm getting into playing together with people again. And I have friends who have been nagging me that you know you're missing out on the old school way of playing together. You know, the Switch 2 and the whole library of Switch games is all about, you know, having fun together. So if you're old school, you should definitely have a Switch because it's very old school.
Yeah, the only people doing that local co-op thing. We've been having like family friends over to play like Overcooked and stuff like that, and that's just been a blast.
Yeah, exactly. And I also think, based on what we just discussed as well, that, you know, Nintendo, yeah, they don't really care about power, as you say, Casey, but they do care about design and optimization. Not design, okay, sure, yes, design per se as well, but more of game design and optimizing for that experience. So that has also led me to understand, since a lot of work I do at the moment is to have studios understand why design is so important to optimize for, especially in onboarding and whatnot. And Nintendo usually are very good at that kind of stuff in both software and hardware.
I do feel like on a very like general long-term scale, it feels like the traditional hardware makers, in this case PlayStation, and I mean, we saw Xbox is doing something completely different as well. It feels like, but it feels like if they're not paying attention, I have a feeling that Steam might fill that gap for a lot of people for various reasons on the console side of things. Uh, especially from a pricing point of view, the ease of publishing, the amount of content they have on their platform that comes first on their platform before everybody else, just because how easy it is to make for their platform. Any thoughts about this? Because I feel like if the other ones are not like the other publishers or rather hardware owners, PlayStation, Nintendo, Xbox, if they don't do something drastic, I have a feeling Steam will just take over the living room as well.
Well, I would argue that Nintendo doesn't really exist in that conversation. Nintendo's doing a different thing. The Steam box is competing with PlayStation and Xbox.
Yeah, it's an interesting take what you're saying there, Dave. I bought a Rogue Ally X before I bought a Switch 2. Switch 2 didn't really exist just yet at that time. But I also sorry about that. Okay. I also believe that we are seeing a shift here where portable are becoming so powerful that they could run a living room. But I also agree on what you're saying, Dave, as well. I mean, it's Nintendo is doing their own thing. It's almost like an Apple thing, that once you're in that ecosystem, you're a Nintendo player, and that just works out that way. If you're on the other side of when it comes to Steam or PC games, portable PC games, it's different because you need to do all the PC-esque stuff. You know, you need to think about how the game is run and how you can run it better, and you know, you need to be the optimizer and the improver of the experience, while Nintendo is just plug and play. So I think both can coexist for various reasons, but Nintendo always have the struggle of, once they are not releasing games, who is releasing games for the platform.
It does feel though that, you know, Nintendo can only satisfy a specific way of playing and won't offer the more core audience anything beyond what they are offering. And the core audience has to have the other option or the main, because Nintendo for the core audience is not the main platform. Would that be correct to say?
Not the main platform, but I think a lot of what we would consider core gamers have the Switch. Because no one, a core gamer wants to play a new Zelda
A
game,
Zelda, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
basically. And no one makes Nintendo games but Nintendo.
Yeah, and if you play one Nintendo game, it's very likely you're going to play another one.
Yeah.
It's just it's a very interesting audience where, and again, I just measure with my friend who, once he got his Switch, he was all in on the Switch, and he just didn't care about the other stuff. There, maybe the same game would show up on Switch as I'm playing it on the Rogue Ally or whatever, but he would definitely be prioritizing and playing Switch and Nintendo games in that environment. So they can probably coexist because they just they usually do not cross each other.
Yeah. And I mean, like I buy stuff on the Switch because I really like playing on Switch. I buy Nintendo games, and I buy typically a lot of like 2D or isometric indie, general category of indie games, which I just like playing on the Switch. It's nice for me. It's a good little device. I carry it around. I take it to the cafe, all that kind of thing. And so, like, if I have the choice between buying something on Switch and PC, it really comes down to what game that is. Like Resident Evil 7, people like the Switch version, but I'm going to do that on PC. Something like Blasphemous or Hollow Knight, I'm going to do that on Switch.
So I have to then ask more explicitly, is the Steam machine a threat to PlayStation and Xbox?
Well, nothing's a threat to Xbox because it's,
Come on, man.
It's more of a service now than anything, right?
Yeah, like if anything, maybe the Steam machine could save Xbox by getting Game Pass on there.
Yeah, exactly. But it's going to be interesting. I mean, even that one, understanding what Xbox is doing moving forward, I was a bit surprised that they are going to come back on hardware, but we don't know exactly how that's going to work. Yeah. But no, I think that because of how expensive things are these days, that might be the priority. But in terms of platform owner, I don't know. The console owners, I mean, PlayStation is obviously bringing back its portfolio to its hardware to sell the PlayStation experience. I think that they experimented too much looking at Microsoft, while they are now starting to look more at Nintendo. And I think that's a good thing, to be honest. System seller is something that should still exist. I think that competition is important. If you're, like we've just seen with the industry trying to make games for everyone, it just doesn't work. So it's better to try and optimize for your audiences, and make those the best you can do for those audiences. If it's tech people or hardware or design, I mean, it's just you shouldn't be too afraid to optimize for your audiences. So I think, I mean, me as an old school game junkie, I would love to need to purchase more platforms and then have a main one that is like, yeah, this is my main, but I also love the games that are on this one. But that technically is saying that, oh yeah, I need to have more money to have fun with my games. But at the same time, as things are right now, I'm playing less games because nothing feels like it's important or feels like it's optimized for something, except for Nintendo.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I think that's definitely. So you're talking about Sony is looking more like Nintendo. That Nintendo makes Nintendo games, and Sony is going to want to continue to. But I think that they are much more vulnerable than Nintendo with that, because there are like,
yes,
if we think about what is a Sony game, it's a sort of graphically lavish single player game with a strong narrative, whether that's open world like Horizon, or a semi-open world like God of War, or more linear like a Naughty Dog game. And so, but the problem is other people make games that sort of appeal to that same general category. Resident Evil, we just talked about, that's a good example. Like, I will be choosing to play Resident Evil 7 or, insert Sony exclusive in a way that doesn't really happen with Nintendo games.
Mm.
And also, these games are just real expensive to make.
Yeah, but the point is, what I'm also saying is the experience itself. From let's say you're playing multiplayer games and you're playing it in the living room and you want to play online. People will make choices here on, I love the PlayStation experience of that because the system runs like this when I play multiplayer, or the shortcuts are like that or whatnot. I think that for a long time, everybody was well understood with that online experience was Microsoft's thing. Xbox was all about that. And then, PlayStation caught up a bit. And now it just, some of that experience is what I believe has allowed for Valve to take their part in it. It's not just about the portability itself. It's also the experience itself outside of the games, around the games.
This boss fight looks awful, by the way. Oh god, just man. Return will kick my ass, and looks like this is going to do it again too.
This is Staros. Sorry, Dave. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was a tangent, but yeah, I definitely agree, and I think that it's going to continuously be hard for Steam to crack that PlayStation core market. That is a cool looking enemy. Look at that. That kind of monstrous.
We have learned at this point, Dave, that you're very distractible.
Yeah. There's good stuff on screen.
I should remove the good stuff on screen.
Yeah. Okay. So, but cracking the living room, because the living room, it's people want to do what they're familiar with. I think, and that's just going to be really hard to crack that open. I think I would be Steam's victory, which I think it's sort of a question of how long. Not a question of when. It might be a while, but it's going to be about sort of a continuing degradation of the centrality of the living room experience rather than conquering the living room.
Yeah. I'm curious right now when we're seeing so many people returning to and experiencing physical, and as in physical games, physical, music, the experience of owning, the experience of actually having an experience, like for example with vinyls, or for example with CDs, or it's the experience around it that gets people excited as well, and I think that will get very interesting moving forward now to understand what is going to happen on that type of experience. Loading up something, playing something, using UI around something. Because I think that people are generally bored, and everything always available everywhere until it's not. Things increasingly getting expensive instead of you being able to know and understand what you're paying for, when you're paying for it. I think there is a lot of stuff into this. And again, Nintendo might be very expensive when it comes to, especially when you buy their hardware for the first time and you have to buy this and buy that. And they generally keep pretty high prices on everything. But it is a Nintendo experience, and that hasn't really changed throughout all these years. And I think that is the winning concept. That's the winning formula that I think the others will start to pursue more moving forward. So it's going to be very interesting to see how that's going to play out, and what if developers are developing for multiple platforms and multiple machines, how that's going to affect things as well.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be 40 next year, so it means I got a good 30 years at least where I'm going to be buying games that look like Phantom Blade here. So I don't think they're making a lot more people that are interested in buying this, and things can always change. but like there's still like there is room, I think, definitely for someone that specializes in this kind of thing. Like we have good earning years and good spending years ahead of us, this particular demographic.
Gentlemen, I was looking at the exclusive games coming to PlayStation this year, and I gotta say, I'm freaking disappointed on many
Really, this thing
accounts.
looks awesome. So did
The
Soros.
games look great. The
Like,
ones that like we're
I
having.
named Soros, but I know that's not what
So
it.
yeah, so okay, so the list that we saw was Soros. There was a Marvel fighting game, and then Wolverine
Wolverine.
and something else. Um, but it's like, okay, so this year only features 5 exclusive games, and like, what happened to the years of releasing like 10 exclusives? And I feel like this is like the trap that they have. A lot of these AAA's have set themselves up to, where we're seeing the quality, no doubt about that, and the graphical fidelity, but we're not seeing the what is it called now again? Cadence that is
Yeah.
required to keep interest up.
Well, I think one of the issues is that like no one except the absolute core Sony player, and not even core gamer, core Sony player, is going to be doing more than 2 of these a year.
And also that people they don't care as much about it anymore because they don't have to. I mean, the equation has crumbled a bit. You know, why do you need to care about a exclusive title that is not driving hardware, so to say? You know, if for example somebody would have tried to secure a GTA 6 deal and it only comes out on PlayStation, I mean that would be a system seller. But I think even not needing to do that, if Rockstar would have, if something would have happened where GTA 6 has 30 more frames, or it's 4K and on the other machines it's not, I think that would also make people care more. It's interesting. We don't talk that way. We don't talk competitively that way anymore. That equation has kind of been removed since a few years, and I think that possibly is now why these hardware manufacturers have woken up a bit. Yes, service and game anywhere and all this stuff, absolutely, but you're also diluting your message. You're diluting your experience, yeah, that's the point. And I think that's where it gets. Sorry.
I was saying this is a really interesting take. In some sense, the console wars are over, but at the same time, they need to exist for platforms to have relevancy. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah.
I mean, why should we care otherwise?
No, they both love, like both Sony and Xbox love that the console war went on for as long as it did.
Absolutely.
Like we were talking about it all the time,
Yeah, and we had what we call the fanboys, fangirls, and all that, and I love this because of that, and I would struggle today to even understand why one is better than the other, or all games are available. Well, many games at least are available everywhere, and they're not particularly better or worse. Or I mean, I used to have a lot of fun back in the day where games being released on PlayStation, in the PlayStation environment, could have higher quality on videos, or high quality on sound and stuff like that. And for me, that was some of the reasons I bought PlayStation games, or PlayStation versions of the games that were released on different platforms. Now, instead of some games being able to be optimized for all platforms, they just agree on a minimum viable effort, and then they release for those platforms. And I think it's a shame in that way. I understand why, but I think that it doesn't hurt to try and get people to care more, both on the development side but also on consumer side.
So let's put some final touches here then, gentlemen, because from my point of view, if they cannot increase the cadence of these exclusive games that are unique to that platform, and it doesn't have to be about fidelity or anything like that. It could be like about gameplay or characters that we care about, historically speaking. I'm having a hard time seeing myself committing to the platforms that I have been committing the past 20, 30 years. I remember like even during PS3, and PS3 was a low point, quote unquote low point for the PlayStation brand, even though obviously they sold more historically speaking. But we were getting a lot of games. Like we got 3 Infamous games on PlayStation 3 in the span of 2-3 years, and now we're barely seeing anything come out. I mean, we got Ghost of Tsushima that was like 4 years ago, maybe 5 years ago. Somebody correct me, please. And then we got Ghost of Yute that was last year. But the span in between these games coming out is just too low.
I mean, but I think what's happening. This is console manufacturers' fault to begin with. It's a return all the way back to the guess the game idea. Back in the day, you could really use graphical power as a marketing beat, and the console manufacturers really pushed that for a really long time. And what happened is that a game costs however many more times to make than now that it does in the PS3 era, and people still have the expectation of the same cadence, and the market hasn't grown enough to justify that. So it's a losing battle. You can't make that many games anymore.
No, it's a shame. So I'm looking at the releases from Sucker Punch, one of the best studios in the world that maybe not a lot of people hear about enough. But so here,
if they weren't owned by Sony, they should make a Sly Cooper for Nintendo.
Yeah. So I'm just looking here quickly. During the PlayStation 3 era, they released Infamous 2, 2 years apart, and then we had a 3-year gap to Infamous Second Son, one of the best games ever, by the way, on PlayStation 4. First Light was also a pretty substantial DLC that followed. But then, from 2014 to 20, so 6 years to release Ghost of Tsushima, and then from Ghost of Tsushima to Yote is an additional, 4 years or 5 years? 4 years, let's say. 5 years. It's just crazy. We need to shorten down those development times and make games that are fun quicker to the audience. Okay, gentlemen. I mean, sorry, Dave. Any final thoughts there?
I was going to say, I think that the only way to do that is to go into the bathroom and look in the mirror and say the words AI 3 times.
That maybe something happens. Yes. I will share some final notes from our newsletter. PUBG just shut down a game that nobody cares about. You don't have to pay attention. Just move on. Just know that PUBG, the original game, is a top 3 game on Steam for the past 6 years. So that's the only thing you need to know about that. And then, unfortunately, is it Eidos or Eidos? Or, anyways, Eidos Montreal.
Eidos, yeah.
Eidos, thank you. Canceled a game, Wildlands, that has been 7 years in the making. We need to wake up, people. We cannot be in the... And unfortunately, 124 people were laid off. Anyways, gentlemen, this has been an amazing episode where we broke down hardware. We'll see what happens. I don't think we're going to see a PlayStation 6 in the coming 2-3 years. We'll see if I'm wrong. Hopefully I'm right. We don't need one, but we need more good games. Gentlemen, Andre, thank you for coming in on short notice. Really appreciate you and appreciate your knowledge today.
Thank you, guys.
Dave,
nice to see you again.
Thank you so much. Dave, sharp and dashing as usual.
Awesome.
If you reach this point and you haven't, please do like, subscribe, hit bells, whistles. We really appreciate you. It helps us immensely, I've heard. That's what I've heard. And with that being said, thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye.